Good morning. I'm Jennifer Barrera, and on the behalf of the Rhode Island Coalition to End Homelessness, I'd like to welcome you this morning. The Coalition is a statewide policy, systems, and advocacy organization working collectively with partners such as the partners that are here today. We have representative from House of Hope, Laura Jaworski. Eileen is here from Amos House. We also have some representatives from the City of Providence Housing Authority and from the Pawtucket Housing Authority. So welcome, everybody. Thank you to Lieutenant Governor Matos, Governor McKee, and Secretary Pryor. The resources we're going to hear about today are life-saving resources and your shared commitment to that no Rhode Islander should face freezing to death outdoors because of a lack of a safe, warm bed to sleep in is really critical at this point. I'd like to say an even bigger thank you to those who are serving on the front lines, our street outreach workers, our case managers, shelter staff, and everyone who's working tirelessly to help those in need. Last night, 1,200 of our neighbors slept in a shelter bed or slept outside. And while the weather today is quite mild, we all have experienced the very cold weather, and we know that there's more cold weather to come. Homelessness is caused by a lack of affordable housing and low wages. Quite simply, the supply of housing is not meeting the demand. Every winter, we face the same challenge. We struggle when the cold weather comes to Rhode Island to make sure that our neighbors experiencing homelessness have a place to go, a safe place to go. There are not enough beds to serve everyone in need, and unfortunately, this year and last year have been made worse by the pandemic and the associated recession. The resources announced today will help us work towards addressing the crisis, but we are by no means done. We cannot take our foot off the gas pedal. Even with the resources announced today, there will still be Rhode Islanders experiencing homelessness, and we still have long-range plans that we need to accomplish to develop more affordable housing resources. We also need to work to raise income to a living wage and bring systemic change to our homeless system. In Rhode Island, there is no right to shelter. If the shelters are full, Rhode Islanders are turned away. So just imagine this, that yourself or your family or your children have nowhere to sleep. You call a critical resource line or encounter a street outreach worker, and there is no bed for them to refer you to. You get placed on a list when a bed comes available. And for many people who are placed on the list, that bed never comes available. So that's why these resources are critical, and that's why our continued work to develop more resources is important to all of the folks experiencing homelessness. This can't continue. The General Assembly should enact a right to shelter legislation. Our neighbors in Massachusetts is a right to shelter state, which means anyone who presents for shelter is able to get shelter that same evening. We must continue to proactively address this crisis, not waiting until the temperature gets cold. We are, like I said, we're grateful for these resources, but we've had very cold temperatures before these resources come online. So we need to continue to work to anticipate the needs in Rhode Island and not be reacting after the fact. So in conclusion, we are so grateful to the governor and the lieutenant governor and Secretary Pryor and all of the folks working in their offices for their partnership. And we are looking forward to continued partnership as we continue to add resources and work to build more affordable housing for our neighbors in need. We can and we must end homelessness.